Hello guys, I'm Jenia and welcome back to my cleaning and organizing channel, and certainly welcome to our new house that we just moved into. In today's video, we're going to be tackling some kitchen projects that are now getting really overdue, especially our pantry. I will be getting to organizing my plastic container cabinet, as well as clean it up of course, and hang some plants on the window, clean up the kitchen here and there, but mainly is going to be about the kitchen pantry, my complete disaster and chaos kitchen pantry. Today, I would like to get it to a point where I can actually understand what's what and know what's going on in my pantry. But first, I wanted to include a little video of me hanging my plants on the kitchen window, which I was supposed to put into my last week's video, but for some reason I didn't, so here I am trying to squeeze it in here. As you can see, my plants were kept all over the house, especially on the kitchen table, and I ordered those beautiful planters from Amazon. I got 4 of them for $15. I always used to think, well, I'm just gonna make my own planters. They're easy to make and never quite seemed to get to it after years of having plants. It is time consuming for somebody to be sitting there and making these, and I think $15 is very fairly priced. So I immediately ordered another one because I want them in my bedroom as well. And just in case you're interested, I'm gonna leave a link to them in my description box. And I don't know the seller or anything, I just like the planters. Anyway, right after this, I'm going to switch to my plastic container cabinet, which really needs some organization there because I just never quite got to it yet. And after that is completed, we're going to start on our complete disaster and chaos kitchen pantry. But before any of that happens, I would like to introduce myself to any of the new guests that I might be having here today. My name is Jenia and I came to America from Russia way over 10 years ago. About 3 years ago, I finally met my other half, who happened to be an American. We got married, had 2 kids, and got ourselves a beautiful cat. My daughter Anya just turned 3 years old, my son Maxim is 1 year old. After living in our cute townhouse, we eventually decided to upgrade to the house of our dreams with the beautiful backyard and a fruit garden that it came with. So we moved just about a few weeks ago and are now settling down. We are now looking forward to making this house our home, doing quite a few room makeovers, growing our 2 kids here, adopting another pet, and I myself am definitely looking forward to learning more about gardening, hoping to get some homegrown fruits and vegetables on the kitchen table that are, especially right now, really quite expensive. Either way, I'm hoping that today's video will get you going and makes you stay in that productive state of mind, will help you get a couple of things crossed off your to-do list. That way you can fall asleep with that awesome feeling of accomplishment tonight. Also, if you're here for the first time, I just wanted to let you know that on this channel you will find plenty of cleaning, organizing, and decluttering motivation to help you get things done, and also I would prefer and like doing things on a budget whenever I can. If that sounds like something you would enjoy, I hope to see you here again. By the way, this plastic container cabinet is being cleaned for the first time since we moved in. When we moved in a few weeks ago, this house needed a lot of cleaning, and so I had to unpack the necessary stuff and just throw it into whatever cabinets I could and just start cleaning, prioritizing things as I go. So that's why now that I finally got to it, I'm gonna clean it, organize it a little bit the way I want it to be, and then move on to the next project, which is going to be the pantry. While I know I could have organized the containers on the countertops, this is still not the end of the world to me since the floors were just cleaned, and I tried to do my best while organizing to keep them on the towel part of the floor. While I should have probably organized them just on the countertop, I don't know why I didn't. Next time I will, but this time, I'm sorry that bothers you, but for this time it is what it is. When organizing this container cabinet today, I decided to just separate all of the containers by type and keep their matching lids in front of them or next to them, while keeping all of the containers that I use the least in the back of the cabinet and what I use the most in front of the cabinet. At the same time, I was trying not to hide anything behind anything else so that I could see everything that I have at a glance, possibly. Now we're going to move to the pantry, but first let me just show you what my husband has been up to. This is the dining room right behind the kitchen. I think this is pretty much all the stuff that's left to unpack for me in the house. Right now my husband is putting together this huge big shelf so that we can place it in this dining room. I kind of have a feeling that this room is going to turn into my craft room before it becomes an official dining room, because I can be running down to the basement every time I need to do a craft, and I actually do a lot of them, and I would have if I were by myself, but the two little kids, they follow me everywhere around the house, and every time I go to the basement, the stairs there is not the safest for my 1-year-old, so I have to lift him up and carry him downstairs, so it just ends up being a bit more complicated than it should be. So before we turn this room into a dining room, I'm probably gonna do some crafting in here. It's next to the kitchen, and it's right where I can keep an eye on everybody while still being sort of away. If you happen to have a dining room in your home, I would love to ask you, how often do you actually use it? For every single holiday, or do you end up going somewhere else for holidays? How often do you use your dining room for official dinners? We hardly ever throw a dinner for anybody, but whenever we do, I would say it would happen maybe once or twice a year. While my husband prefers to sit at a formal table with the family, I prefer the other way, which is completely informal, just having my plate and sitting on the kitchen counter, or just sitting on the couch watching TV, walking around with my plate, and not just anything but sit at a formal table. Feel free to let me know in the comments which one you prefer, formal or informal dinners and gatherings. As you can see right now, I'm just showing you the overlook of the pantry as it is right now. There is absolutely no rhyme or reason right now, except for if there is anything that's potentially dangerous to the kids, it's up on the shelves, and everything that's not is down. So I'm gonna have to pull everything out, clean the pantry, wipe it down, and then pull everything into categories and put it back, and hope that it will have rhyme and reason. So today I am not buying any particular organizers, not even from the dollar store, because I have a bunch of them, especially from my old pantry. If you have been visiting my channel for a little while, you might have seen my old pantry in the old house, which was a walk-in huge pantry. Nobody could ever complain about that size of pantry. In fact, I got plenty of compliments on it. However, now that we have moved, I don't have a walk-in pantry. All I have is the normal human size pantry, not the queen size pantry. So I'm gonna have to downsize the proper way and figure out what I'm gonna do and how I'm gonna fit everything that I have into this smaller size pantry. So like I mentioned, I'm not bringing in any organizers quite yet, and the reason being is because I don't know what kind of organizers I may possibly need until I actually organize the stuff and see the layout. When I organized before, I used to think in a different way, like I'm sure a lot of us do, and that would be, oh, that's a pretty organizer, I think I'm going to get it so that I can put my cans in it, or whatever it may be. Half of the times it ended up working out, and half the times it didn't. However, I don't know about you, but I find that organizers can get pretty expensive, especially nice ones. So following the advice from professional organizers and what we actually kind of all know in heart, that first we should decide what kind of organizers we need and then go and shop for them. This is the technique I'm going to apply today. So first, today I'm just going to be putting everything into the pantry, and then I'm going to decide what am I missing here, or what can I possibly improve and how. But first, of course, I'm going to have to clean the kitchen up a little bit so that I can have some working space to work on. I'm gonna end up needing a lot of space to work on because obviously I have a lot of stuff in the pantry, as you could see. The desk part that my cat is on right now is just that. It's a desk that she's allowed to go on to get her snack. I can't keep any of her food on the floor because we have a baby, and this just happens to be the best corner for right now for me to give her snacks on it. I hope that makes sense to you. Other than that desk part of the kitchen, she is not allowed to go onto any tables or kitchen counters, and she has learned that already.
nothing I can do. No. When I'm with you, I lose myself. I feel good. Oh, yeah, I don't know why. It's like a charge around us that just feels right. Can't get my head around it. I can never hit the brakes. Every time you touch me, babe, you send me right out into space. You send me right out into space. Space, right into space. Yeah, I don't know why.
So now that I have emptied the pantry, I ended up using the desk part for the cans and the kitchen table, as well as the kitchen island for the rest of the stuff. Now I'm going to start organizing it, pulling it into categories, see what I come up with. Now, while I will declutter some of the stuff that is either expired or I'm just not going to use in the future, I am not going to declutter a lot because I already did right before we moved. When I was packing, I was obviously looking at what I should take and should not take with me to the new house. The challenge here today is going to be how are we going to fit all of the stuff back into the pantry in an organized order, and also the main concern is going to be how to keep all of the potentially dangerous for the kids things away from the bottom shelves while at the same time keeping them in categories. By potentially dangerous things, I mean anything that's made of glass or anything that's super heavy that can fall on their little feet and, hurt them. At this time, you may be thinking if I've ever even heard of the baby-proof locks for the cabinets and all this kind of stuff, but yes, I have, and I prefer to not use them in places where I reach about 25 times a day. I first try to organize things in the best way possible, and if that's not going to work out, of course, I'm going to use a child-proof lock.
I know it can be frightening to let it go. A soft landing. Just got home, I've been hovering around the cool kid compounds. Started to look real promising, yeah. 225, lucky stars on a Jeep, that's a price. For this guy asking me what I like. Wanna slide on a beat every night. But I felt off, let it right on my face, yeah. Picture you, then start killer bass, yeah. It don't matter, I'm still amazing. I'm fixing you to like me. So I'm behind the lights, babe. I know it can be frightening to let it go.
When it comes to cooking, I am not a professional and do not have a lot of experience behind my back, but I of course like trying different recipes, but I also find myself changing my style of cooking quite a bit. A couple of times I actually decided to just not include sugar in anything, just completely go sugar-free. At another stage I was trying to cook everything vegetarian and then even vegan, so I never really quite know what is coming next, and I know that the word healthy may have a different meaning to you than it does to me, but I am trying to create that healthy and diverse menu that I can refer to every week, and I don't have to think at the last moment what I'm going to cook today or tomorrow. I wouldn't call it quite meal prep, rather than just a few of my absolute favorite recipes and meals to eat that I would rotate weekly. Of course, I have to test those recipes out before I put them on that golden menu. My kids have to like them and they have to be healthy, and I already have a couple in mind that I already tried out, and I'm always looking for more. Which brings me to ask you one more question. What is your absolute favorite thing to eat? What is on your perfect dinner plate? If it's not the healthiest version, I would still love to know. If you of course feel like it, please leave me a comment and tell me what your favorite basically meal or recipe is. Is it Italian? Is it pasta? Is it a salad? Is it chicken wings? Or is it some kind of soup that is absolutely special? I don't know. You tell me.
In my life, so my glass was half empty, but you came along and showed me how to love without limits, to have a good time. My glass was always half empty, but now
Like I didn't already have a lot of stuff to organize. We were actually short on a couple of things like pasta, and we had an order from Kroger that had just arrived at our front door. But that is a good thing because you want to have all of your inventory in front of you when you're organizing the pantry. So these are all the things that have arrived with that order. Now, because of having the complete mess in my pantry, I kept ordering the same thing over and over, like cans of cut tomatoes. I always seem to think that I just have a couple of cans of tomatoes left on hand and I need to order more because I'm running short. And only after organizing this pantry, I realized that I had just about enough to feed a small army of people. Now, it's good that it's just canned tomatoes that are not gonna expire for another year or two, and I will definitely use them all, but I did not need that many. You will see how many I have a little bit later in this video. Also, if you happen to be familiar by any chance with the Mormon culture and religion, or maybe you happen to be one, these people believe in having enough food in your storage to feed your family for the entire year. I'm talking about the types of foods that do not expire tomorrow, like cans, seeds, grains, whatever. I very much agree with that kind of thinking because in case disaster happens, what are you gonna do? And so we have a couple of things of rice set aside that we're going to put in our basement, and a couple of cans like those tomato cans that I was just talking about. I'm never going to have too many of them. I can just always put them into my basement for that year supply. So I actually am serious about it. I want to create a little storage in my basement for maybe not a year, but at least a few months food supply that doesn't go bad tomorrow. Now remember that main concern that I had, and the main rule is to keep the lighter things on the bottom because of the kids. So I'm trying to figure out the best way of doing that. I'm gonna try and play around with things, turn them, put them on different shelves, reorganize them, recategorize them, whatever it is that I have to do. Considering the fact that your kids will get to every single thing in your pantry and break it or spill it or do whatever with it, definitely doesn't make the process easier, and I'm sure a lot of you can relate. And yes, I will think twice about that childproof lock.
Hold up just a minute. Been looking for some help just to find myself. Yeah. Been losing my focus like 1,000 times before. Can't take this anymore. 'Cause I've been looking for something to change thoughts into motion. Been waiting way too long. Yeah, waiting just for somebody to love and to surround me and to handle my emotions. I was out waiting for something.
It made sense to me to place all of the cookies as well as breakfast like oatmeal all on one shelf and consider it just breakfast/snack shelf. I'm going to add some cat snacks to this shelf as well. On the very top shelf, the one with the white bin, I'm going to place refills, the ones that I'm going to reach out for every once in a while, and also just stuff that I hardly ever use but do from time to time, like dried mushrooms.
Waste of time. How could somebody be with someone else if you can't be by yourself? Yeah. I got my problems. Lately I've been fading out, holding out, waiting just for somebody to love and to surround me and to handle my emotions. I was out waiting for something, and if I close my eyes, it's all been a waste of time.
With this shelf, I was a little bit confused, but at this moment I am thinking cooking stuff like chicken cubes as well as baking stuff, which I hardly ever bake, but I have some stuff in that left white little container. And then in the back I had some seeds and nuts, and it was just getting a little bit too much, so I'll figure it out.
It's all been a waste of time. Waste of time. Waste of time. Waste of time. I waiting for something, and if I close my eyes.
This square container with the handle on it, kind of white or clear, comes from the dollar store, and they are extremely just comfortable to use in things like pantry or the bathroom or any kind of cabinets that go deep inside. However, it is not as sturdy as you might think it is, but it's great for lighter things. I only got one to try it out at first, but I will be getting more.
Waste of time.
Already, I'm thinking for this type of pantry with tall shelves and deep at the same time, I'm thinking risers as well as spinning Lazy Susans, as well as the containers that can go deep into the shelf with a handle on one end so that you can grab them and pull them out. Also, please let me know if you feel the same every time I watch organizing videos of pantries as well as Pinterest and Instagram on that topic. I always think the same. Why is it that people always seem to stick with the same kind of drink or the same kind of whatever it is they are buying, and I always have so many of the different things that I'm trying out. Like I have an iced tea that I use on a regular basis, but I always try other things as well, and they're never gonna match so beautifully like you see on Instagram, and I always wonder why. Is it just me that can't stick with the same kind of drink and the same kind of foods and buy just that one type so that I can match them beautifully in the pantry? The only thing that's going to match in my pantry is the water bottles and some applesauce. But then again, once I'm finished with the water bottles that I have now, I doubt I'm gonna buy any more, because now that I invested in a huge tumbler glass, I am happy with it, and I don't think I will need to buy any more water bottles, as I can't stand plastic bottles all over my house. So once that's gone, only a couple of things are really gonna match in my pantry. But listen, as long as you know where things are, it really does not bother me. Tell me, how about you? Do you normally buy the same stuff over and over again that you're really happy with and you just love the way it tastes, and then you can stack it beautifully in your pantry and just enjoy the pretty sight? Or are you more like me and just have a bunch of mismatched bags, containers and bottles in your pantry, but you do try them all and you use them all and you enjoy them all? I'm pretty sure I cannot be just the only one, so let me know.
Lay my head, another town, another bed. No matter what I do, I'm still gonna be dreaming of you. No matter who I try.
Talking about mismatched stuff, my pasta is never going to match, but what I'm trying to do here is definitely organize it in such a way so that I can see at first glance, without taking anything out, what kind of pasta I have, whether it be a sign in the corner of the box so that it's visible to me, or the name of the pasta printed out. But this way I can see exactly which box is which pasta. At first, I wanted to put all of the drinks on one shelf. Any kind of liquid like iced tea, water, everything else, all on one shelf. But this water is not gonna fit with all the other drinks on one shelf. And also, my favorite way of organizing is to always leave a little bit of empty space after organization for miscellaneous stuff that always comes into your house no matter what. Since all this water is going to be gone sometime in the future, I'm going to end up with all of that empty precious space that I'm going to use for miscellaneous whatever.
Who I try to love, it's always you I'm thinking of. No matter what I do, I'm still gonna.
Look at my applesauce matching so beautifully. I know I could have matched more if I put all of the iced tea in one line, but it didn't make sense to me since I can see it behind the Lazy Susan, and then I am not going to try and make it look like I organized the pantry and then turn the camera off and reorganize it my way. I am going to show you in this video the pantry that I'm going to end up with at the end of the day, organized in the most practical way I could possibly make it, and I am sorry if you expected a Pinterest looking like pantry. Alright, it's time to organize all of the cans, and I do not have any space in the pantry left for them, so I'm gonna have to place them somewhere else, and you'll see where in a second. But first I'm gonna have to match them all and see how many of the same kind of cans I have, because they are gonna have to be organized in a different way than the mismatched ones. So the place right inside this desk area I am going to use for all of the cans. I think it's perfect for now, since it's just going to display them all so that I can see each and single one of them. Whatever cans I have of the same type, I am going to place them all in one line so that it makes sense, and whatever mismatched and miscellaneous cans I'm left with, I'm going to place in the middle on a Lazy Susan so that I can rotate and see what I have. So let me show you.
A new place, a new home, for a while, let me feel alive. Nothing to hold me back, take my time, just enjoy the ride. A new man.
Cat snacks cans will go right on the shelf with all of the other snacks for people. And I'm going to place the juice here right now. I don't know why, but I'm ready to show you the pantry and how it turned out, starting from the bottom. As I told you before, with pasta, I wanted to see everything I have at a glance, and so this way I can either see the picture of the pasta or the wording so that I can know exactly what I have. On this shelf, all the mismatched bottles and sauces are on the Lazy Susan so that I can rotate. And on the next shelf, I have cooking on the right hand side and bacon on the left hand side, together with all the nuts and seeds all behind it, as well as flour. On this shelf, we have all of the snacks that we have, together with the cat snacks and breakfast oatmeal on the left. And then last, extra and refills. I'll also show you the can cabinet in a second, and let me remind you that this pantry does not have many organizers quite yet. I think I could bring in a couple, which will be my next step. Also, no matter how consistent you are with your shopping, I'm sure your eating habits change from time to time and you end up buying different stuff. And so places like pantries need to be corrected and upgraded every once in a while to stay organized. Now when it comes to cans, I ended up putting all of the tomato bases on the top shelf, and on the bottom I have all kinds of soups that I have grouped on the left hand side, then any sort of fish, and then corn and beans on the right hand side, and the miscellaneous cans are all on the Lazy Susan. This is very clear to me now that I do not need to buy any more canned tomatoes for now. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video, and I really hope that you found at least a couple of things to be helpful for you. I hope you will stop by next week as well and see me again. If you wish, you can always visit me on Instagram at @FromJenia_with_love. If you ever have any questions that you wanted to ask me directly, you can always send me a message on Instagram. And otherwise, if you have any kind of suggestions or advice, anything that you would like to say to me, you can always leave me a comment under this video. I love hearing from you. Other than that, have a great weekend. Bye bye now.